It's been a year of highs and lows in the world of container gardening. Some plants thrived beyond my wildest expectations, while others, well, let's just say they struggled to survive. Whether you're new to container gardening or an experienced green thumb, you know the joy of watching plants bloom and the frustration of seeing them wilt. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through my container gardening experiments, sharing the successes that brightened my space and the failures that taught me valuable lessons. Let's dive into the best, and the worst, container gardening ideas of this year. The triumphs, best container gardening ideas. 1. Herb Haven. A fragrant, productive success. One of my best container gardening projects this year has to be my herb garden. Herbs like basil, rosemary, mint, and thyme thrived in small pots, placed in a sunny spot on my patio. What made this a success? First, the containers themselves were perfect for herbs. They provided enough drainage, and I used a high-quality potting mix that encouraged growth. Additionally, the location of the containers received just the right amount of sunlight, around 6 hours a day. Basil grew so lush I had to harvest it regularly to prevent it from taking over. Rosemary, with its sturdy, drought-resistant nature, stood tall even during the hot months. The mint, though vigorous, stayed manageable because I gave it its own container. Lesson learned. Herbs love containers, and with just a bit of care, you can create a vibrant herb haven that provides endless fresh flavors for your kitchen. 2. Strawberry towers. Sweet and satisfying. Another standout success this year was my strawberry tower. I've always loved the idea of growing strawberries in a vertical structure, and this year, I finally made it happen. I used a tiered stackable container system, planting several strawberry varieties. Not only did this save space, but it also added a beautiful vertical element to my garden. The key here was keeping the plants well watered and ensuring they got plenty of sun. Strawberries are sun lovers, after all. The payoff? An abundance of sweet, juicy strawberries that made their way into everything from smoothies to desserts. If you're short on space but still want to enjoy homegrown berries, the strawberry tower is the way to go. 3. Succulents in shallow dishes. Low maintenance and stylish. When it comes to low maintenance gardening, succulents are hard to beat. This year, I experimented with growing succulents in shallow dishes, and it turned out to be a huge win. I chose a variety of succulents, from the ever-popular jade plant to the unique echeveria, placing them in wide, shallow containers filled with a well-draining cactus mix. The shallow dishes allowed the succulents to spread out, creating a stunning display of texture and color. The best part? They required minimal water and attention, making them perfect for busy gardeners or those new to plant care. These containers added a touch of elegance to my outdoor space and even doubled as indoor decor. Succulents in shallow dishes are definitely a container gardening idea I'll be repeating next year. 4. Tomatoes in large pots. A bumper harvest. Growing tomatoes in containers is a bit of a gamble, but this year, I hit the jackpot. I chose determinate tomato varieties like Roma and Bush Early Girl, which are ideal for container gardening because they stay relatively compact. I planted them in large, deep pots to accommodate their root systems and made sure they had sturdy cages to support their growth. Regular feeding with a tomato-specific fertilizer and consistent watering helped the plants thrive. The result? A bumper crop of delicious, sun-ripened tomatoes that filled my kitchen with summer flavor. If you're thinking about growing tomatoes in containers, the key is to go big, large pots, strong support, and plenty of nutrients. 5. Mixed flower pots. A colorful success. Nothing brightens up a patio or balcony like a mixed flower container, and this year, I went all out with my flower combinations. I used large, colorful pots and filled them with a mix of petunias, geraniums, marigolds, and trailing ivy. The result was a riot of color that bloomed from spring through late summer. The trick to success here was choosing plants that thrive in similar conditions, full sun and regular watering, and keeping an eye on deadheading to encourage continuous blooms. These mixed flower pots became the centerpiece of my outdoor space, attracting bees, butterflies, and plenty of compliments from visitors. The struggles: worst container gardening ideas. 1. Zucchini in small containers. A crowded, struggling mess. Now, let's talk about a project that didn't go so well: zucchini in containers. I thought I could get away with growing zucchini in smaller pots, and boy, was I wrong. Zucchini plants are notorious for their sprawling growth, and trying to contain them in pots that were too small resulted in stunted growth and poor yields. The plants didn't have enough room for their roots to spread, and they quickly became overcrowded. Despite my best efforts with watering and feeding, the zucchinis struggled and produced only a handful of small fruits. Lesson learned: zucchini needs space, and small containers just don't cut it. 2. Lavender in too much shade. A scentless disappointment. I had high hopes for my lavender plants this year, envisioning a lush, fragrant display in beautiful terracotta pots. However, I made the mistake of placing them in a spot that didn't get enough sunlight. Lavender is a sun-loving plant, and without at least 6 hours of full sun, it simply won't thrive. My lavender plants grew leggy and sparse, and the scent I was looking forward to was practically non-existent. If you're growing lavender in containers, make sure to place them in a sunny location, otherwise, you'll end up with a scentless disappointment like I did. 3. Carrots in shallow containers. Tiny, twisted roots. Another failure this year was my attempt to grow carrots in shallow containers. I used a pot that was only about 8 inches deep, thinking it would be enough for a small crop of baby carrots. Unfortunately, the shallow depth didn't give the roots enough room to grow properly. The result: tiny, twisted, misshapen carrots that were more novelty than nourishment. Carrots need deep, loose soil to grow straight and long, and shallow containers just don't provide the space they need. Next time, I'll be sure to use much deeper pots, or skip the container idea for carrots altogether. 4. Peppers in overcrowded pots. Competing for resources. Peppers can be great in containers, but this year I made the mistake of overcrowding them. I planted multiple pepper plants in one large container, thinking it would be fine because of the container's size. However, the plants ended up competing for water and nutrients, leading to smaller, less productive plants. While I did get some peppers, the harvest was nothing compared to what I could have had if I had spaced the plants out properly. If you're growing peppers in containers, give each plant its own pot or make sure there's plenty of room between them. 5. Blueberries in the wrong soil. A pH disaster. Blueberries are one of those plants that have very specific soil requirements. They need acidic soil with a pH between 4.5 and 5.5. Unfortunately, I didn't pay close enough attention to this when planting my blueberries in containers this year. I used a regular potting mix that wasn't acidic enough, and the plants struggled as a result. The leaves turned yellow, growth was stunted, and the few berries I did get were small and tart. Blueberries in containers can be a great idea, but only if you get the soil right. Next year, I'll be sure to use a mix designed specifically for acid-loving plants. In conclusion, container gardening offers endless possibilities, but it's not without its challenges. The best part: each season brings a new opportunity to experiment, learn, and grow. So, whether you're basking in the glory of a successful strawberry tower or nursing a failed zucchini attempt, remember that every plant has something to teach you. Here's to many more seasons of container gardening success.